I was at work late one night, the office silent and empty, when my phone buzzed with an incoming call. I glanced at the number, but it wasn't what I recognized. Normally, I'd ignore calls from unknown numbers, but something compelled me to answer. Hello? For a moment, it was only static on the other end. But then, I heard a voice I hadn't heard in years. Hey, it's Sam. The voice was soft, hesitant, but I recognized it instantly. Sam had been my best friend growing up, a childhood bond that felt unbreakable. But years ago, Sam had been in a tragic accident, and I'd attended his funeral. There was no way this could be real. Sam? My voice was barely a whisper. Is this a joke? I need your help, he said, his voice trembling with desperation. Please come find me. I'm so cold. Every logical thought told me this couldn't be Sam. I'd watched him be buried, but the pain in his voice was undeniable, as if he were standing right there, reaching out through the phone. A strange feeling of duty, of unfinished business, gripped me, and before I knew it, I found myself asking, "Where are you?" There was a pause, and then a faint laugh, hollow and echoing. You already know. The call disconnected, leaving only silence. The call disconnected, leaving only silence. But I did know where he wanted me to go, an old treehouse we built in the woods behind my childhood home. It was where we'd spent countless days and nights together, sharing secrets, making promises, and talking about growing up. After hesitating, I grabbed my car keys and drove through the night back to my old neighborhood. The woods were darker than I remembered, shadows stretching across the path as if they were trying to pull me in. I pushed through the underbrush, my flashlight flickering, until I reached the treehouse. The wooden structure was old, sagging, and decaying from years of neglect. I climbed the ladder slowly, my heart racing with every step. When I finally reached the top, I shone the flashlight around the small space. Everything was exactly as we'd left it: the dusty pillows, the worn-out comic books, and an old photograph of the two of us taped to the wall. Then, I heard a faint rustling sound behind me. I turned, expecting to see nothing, but there, crouched in the corner, was a figure, pale and gaunt, with hollow eyes staring straight at me. It was Sam ... But it wasn't the Sam I remembered. His face was sunken, his skin a sickly shade, and his clothes were tattered, as if he'd been lost in the woods for years. He reached out to me, his hand trembling. "You promised you wouldn't leave me here," he whispered, his voice brittle, filled with a chilling sadness. I took a step back, my mind racing. I remembered the promise. We were kids, barely 10, and Sam had been terrified of the woods. I'd told him I'd always be there for him, no matter what. But when he passed away, I'd left those memories behind, thinking the chapter was over. "Sam, I didn't know," I stammered, my voice shaking. "I didn't know you were still here." His face twisted, a mix of anger and hurt. But I waited. I waited for so long. He took a step closer, his eyes darkening. "Now, you have to stay with me forever." I stumbled back, scrambling down the ladder, barely keeping myself from falling. I ran through the woods, his voice echoing in my ears, growing louder, more desperate, as if he were right behind me, ... When I finally reached my car, I jumped in, locking the doors, my heart pounding. I looked back at the path, expecting to see him, but there was nothing, only darkness and the faint rustle of leaves. I drove home, trying to convince myself it had been some twisted nightmare. But when I checked my phone, the call history was there, with the unknown number listed as Sam. And every night since, I've received a call at exactly midnight, the same voice on the other end, whispering, "You promised." Now, I keep my phone turned off, but I still hear it ringing in the middle of the night, a reminder of the promise I tried to forget. And deep down, I know that one day I'll have to answer.